Think we are live. This is Dr. Megan,
And this is Joe Smith.
and we're back for a live recording of the Do Better podcast. We're just keeping this streak going. I'm so excited for us that we've been able to do this.
I love this. I love being able to like continue the streak, build some behavior momentum, get and keep on like producing. It's great. Reminds me when we first started when we were just pumping out content and it was great.
Yeah, I know we were so good when we first started. I think we had an episode the first and the 15th of every month or something.
Yes.
And then
But that was
during COVID, it was like every week.
hmm
So,
But that was also, yeah, during COVID, and also that was before I had any kids.
yep.
And yep.
I mean,
So
I had a
yeah.
child, but you all of a sudden had three, so it's a little bit
I went
different.
from 0 to 3 overnight.
We have a couple of
So
folks on with us from the Do Better Collective. Thanks for joining us. You all are welcome to turn on your videos if you want to. Just so you know, this is a live podcast recording. So whatever, if you come on the microphone or video, you would be on our podcast. So just a heads up on that. We're streaming live on Facebook, and then this will go out to Spotify and YouTube when we're finished. So topic
and
wise
probably Apple
today.
too,
Yeah, Apple. I
right?
mean, all the
Yeah, yeah.
places where things
All the
stream.
places.
Um, so topic wise today, we just kind of last minute decided to do the podcast today instead of next week because I'm actually going to be out of town next week. So, Joe and I just decided to start with, we're going to chat about the conference for Rejected 2024 that we have coming up with Do Better in it starts December 1st, and it's basically almost a whole entire month long. We have presentations every day starting December 1st until December, it was 20th, but it looks like December 19th because we don't have anyone on the 20th. So either way, like 30 different presentations. What better way to spend your December than checking out all of the rejected presentations that, could have been at other conferences
Hmm.
but aren't. So I'm super excited about that. I was going to go through real quick and just say I'm going to put the link. You all will be the first to get the link because I haven't posted it anywhere yet. So I'm going to put that in the chat here for the couple of folks who are online with us live, and I'll put it on the streaming as well. And then we'll be advertising and stuff. One of the really cool things that we're doing for the conference is anyone who is a Trailblazer member, if they share this registration, if they share anything about the conference and tag Do Better, they get to attend for free. So I think that's pretty cool. And if you want to attend and you're not a member or you don't feel like sharing anything on social media or with your friends or whatever, the pricing's not bad. It's a situation where we have it set up to name your price, and the lowest is $50 because we are giving 40 CEs. And then you could pay as much as 200 if you would like for whatever reason. Maybe you have some end of the year money for your company that you need to get rid of. I don't know. So we have that like pay scale where you can decide how much you want to pay. And we also have a scholarship opportunity. So for folks who are RBTs that want to attend for free or just maybe don't need CEs, would like the content and have a tight budget and can't, pay to attend, we do have a form folks can fill out to apply for the scholarship. And then you'll find out within 48 hours whether or not you are like if you've been approved for the scholarship. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to get the link. I get distracted. So here's the link. Nope, just kidding. That's not the right link. My bad.
Either way, like if you're in ABA or you're BSBA or RBT, you should definitely sign up for this conference basically because
Yes.
I've never heard of like being able to A, get 40 CEUs during a conference ever. That's how many total you can get, right? 40?
Yeah, I think I haven't re-added them up, but it's at least 40. That's on the conservative end. So,
And I'm sure there's some supervision in some ethic
oh, so what's
CUs.
really interesting is we had it where folks, submit their presentations and we didn't say like one way or the other what we were looking for. We have a ton of ethics CEs. Nobody that submitted for this time around did anything supervision wise, but we have tons of ethics CEs for some reason. Lots of folks wanted to talk about ethics. So
I
I
wonder
forget the
why.
exact number, but it's more than 10. I mean, I know people don't need as many ethics CEs as that, but the other nice thing is once you purchase the conference, each event has its own thing. So like each of the presentations will have its own course within our system. So if you only need like say before you recert right now, say you only need like 6 CEs and you purchase the conference, you can complete whichever 6 you want and then the rest are there for you to complete whenever you want to, like whenever your new cycle starts. So if you're like I don't need 10 ethics CEs right now, you could complete the ones you need to and then wait for your cycle to start again. And those courses will still be in your account on our system. So you don't have to do like all 40 CEs right now. You can save them and all that kind of stuff.
Like seriously, like this such is such a steal, I would say. I mean, but I'm super excited.
Thanks. I don't know why I can't find the link. I had it like my web developer sent it to me. Oh, wait, here we go. I'm almost there. Yay. Okay. This is what happens when you don't get to be in your normal routine. All right, so here's the link. And then for Abby and Charmaine that are on here, if you all have questions about it, feel free to ask. And Joe, you feel free to ask questions as well. Um,
Okay,
I'm going to put the link on the live stream real quick, and then I'll tell you all a little bit more about the presentations and we can go from there. Sound good?
nice. This sounds amazing. Like the most I think I could ever get in a conference is like 12 or something like that.
Yeah,
Again, it's been a while since I went to an actual in-person conference. The last time was ABAI in Denver, and it feels like it was forever ago.
right? I know. Okay, so in terms of the presentations, we'll be because the hurricanes kind of threw everything off with getting, I mean, we talked about this conference like a couple months ago on the podcast. I was telling you all about how excited I was to organize it, I think in August or something. And then we had
Mhm.
these hurricanes come through. So I got completely thrown off on being able to get everything online. So thrilled that we had so many people, submit and want to participate in the conference. And that happened like super quick. Everyone got their info in super fast. So we have it's all coming together. But in terms of putting each individual presentation and the details about that online, that's obviously a little bit more of a process. So we have the names and things like that, but we'll be getting more and more details about each presentation. So I'm just going to tell you all the presentations right now. So we have insights from practicing ABA in Zambia from Allison Fiersch. We have a conversation about parent support for practicing clinicians with Camille Silva. Event-based learning because context matters with Anna Marie Stoudemire. Red flags and ABA practices, advocating for ethical standards and taking action with Stephen and April Smith. Avoiding missteps, navigating laws and classroom strategies and IEPs with Annie McLaughlin. Ashton Benedict is likely doing a presentation on December 2nd, but we're still working out the details for that one. I'm super excited. I'm hoping it'll be based on the research she's been doing with ABA and neurodiversity, but we'll have to see. Gender and orientation and neurodiverse populations with B. Curran. Teaching language to learners with autism, negation exclusions, past tense verbs, describing and guessing with Ray Sapita. Treats, mints, not trick mints, how to improve the reputation of ABA by improving the practice with Angela Mooring. Fraudulent billing happens every day with Tina Goudry. Moving your clients from one-on-one to group learning with Kelly Birmingham. Perspectives and partnership. I need to update the title on this one. This is, I think, well, either way, with Abby, you can feel free to chime in. If I forget if I have the right title or if I forgot to update it. Perspectives and partnership, practitioner, person, and parent. So it's a panel where they'll be sharing information from like each of those perspectives. Compassion or caregiver support, practical tools for practitioners with Leanne Page. Beyond traditional graphs, measuring social significance and ABA health coaching with Sarah Burby. Practical strategies for individuals that fit the pathological demand avoidance profile with Nikki Schneider. Running a neurodivergent affirming social group with Lindsay LeBrun and Jenny LaCroix. ABA treatment for anxiety with Amanda Litton. Precision Teaching 101, a beginner's guide to dropping dots with Austin Burkett. Rewriting the script, designing programs that empower learners to set boundaries with adults with Mary Rose Winters. Beyond the ABCs, reframe for today's learners with Meg Solomon, Dr. Marilucci Cerda, and Jennifer Ferris. Rejection, the autistic person's life story with William Keeley. Cultivating change, enhancing educational outcomes through the integration of skill-based treatment and motivational interviewing with Emily Esparza, and I'm a co-presenter on that one, but more just to help with covering C's. Navigating neurodiversity, how the models of disability can shape our practice with Lindsay LeBrun. Clinical considerations for recommending ABA service intensity with Alexandra McDougall. If we know better, will we feel better? Effects of trauma-informed ABA trainings on provider confidence, job satisfaction, and field retention with Sandra Bishop and Gabby Morgan. Abandoned at 6, the service cliff betraying autism's most vulnerable with Suzanne Juswick. Nobody learns in 5 hours or less a week with Mark Malady. Practical resources for navigating a peer review. It's all about relationships. Alexandra Tomei and Emily and Bethany. I forget, I think it's Emily Creech or Bethany Creech and Emily. Sorry, I got to get the last name. Where is Emily's last name? I don't have it on my list right now. I don't have everyone memorized. Unfortunately, all I have written is Emily and Bethany, but I'll get that updated. Ethical considerations and expanding ABA practice methodologies with Nicole Parks and Sierra Tranum and Don Davis. Decade of Digital, leveraging social media and behavior analysis for continuous innovation. That's myself and Dia Ascari, Hillary Laney, and Jackie Wunderlich. Who's holding the power? Understanding the power differences between parents and children and professionals and parents with Kelly Taylor. And then Old School Wisdom, New Age Solutions, the Dino's Guide to Flexible Behavior Analysis. That's another one with me. And then Emily Kearney, Robert Schramm, and Steve Ward. And that's going to close out our conference on December 18th. So I guess our last presentation is December 18th. I'm like so thrilled by all. I don't know how if you caught how many. We're going to have to do some sort of infographic of the various different topics that are covered. We have health and fitness. We have it's dealing with insurance. We have adults. We have social groups. We have group learning. Like there's just so many different things. Precision teaching. Most conferences nowadays, I mean, ABAI, obviously you get a good mixture, but there's so many presentations all across the day for so many days in a row. You don't really necessarily get to go to the different topics. So I'm really excited. And every single person that's presenting is talking about it from their perspective as a practitioner and how we are like realistically incorporating these things within our practices. It's not just, presenting a bunch of research. Not that research isn't important, but in terms of how we practice, it should be giving us real world applications.
I love that. I love that. So one thing I didn't hear, which I'm surprised about, I didn't hear any topics on AI.
We didn't have anyone submit anything on AI, but we do have our monthly webinars that I will be reaching out to people to submit, presentations for something each month. So I'm hoping to get at least 1 or 2 people that want to talk about that for 2025. But you're right, nobody submitted anything on AI.
Surprise.
We have a
Like,
spot or two available still, Joe. You want to do something on AI?
we'll talk about. I have another idea for a presentation that I want to do. I just have to sit down and actually create it. But I want to. Um, I have this idea of like more of um, like more strategies for behavior analysts who have ADHD.
Yeah,
Um, and just fit and center around that. But of course, that's a work in progress. But that's something that's more of my passion and something I'm diving into now.
nice.
So, yeah. But of course, when you do these presentations or um, sign up for a conference, like it's almost like a passion project, and you really have to think through like what steps or how you want to go about it, like how to present it, how you want to, what topic, I mean, what items you want to hit. So it's definitely something that I want to do. I definitely want to talk about it. I just have to like iron out the details.
Yeah.
Do you have
Well,
any tips for
you can't get them ironed out for December. Maybe you can do one of our monthly webinars too.
that'd be fun. I would love that.
What was your question? Do I have any tips about?
You know, those who wanted to sign up for your conference and present on something, but didn't know how to best go about it, what would your a tip like or a tip or two to be to just start that move, just start the ball rolling
Yeah.
to get
Well,
that plan.
I have a couple of things. One, I did have a few people who reached out and I assured them like we're the whole point of the conference is to highlight as many voices in our field as possible. And I know imposter syndrome is a real thing. But this is the intention here is more like a community gathering of folks to just share what they're doing and talk about it. And there were a couple of people who said, I don't know if I know enough about this, but I really like I want to talk about it, but I don't know if I know, and just kind of pushing through and realizing anything that you have experience with, enough about to do a presentation. So that's the first part. The second part is taking that leap and booking it. So for this year, you might not have submitted, but we're hoping to do this every year and in future years have it open like the submission presentation part, it be like, open up in September, October, or maybe even earlier than that. So people have more time to plan and whatnot. But what I've found for me when I have things that I want to present is just if I have a deadline, I have to get it done. So, just taking that leap too, like, okay, I know I want to talk about ADHD. Let me pick that date and time with the do better. And as it gets closer, I'm going to have to figure it out. I will have to create something at that point. And then the third
And
thing was I offered to people, and it's still there to meet. I'm happy to jump on with anyone who is presenting or who wants to present in the future and like brainstorm and talk about some ideas, for what their outline might be, or they kind of word vomit and tell me all the things that they're passionate about. And then I give them some tips on, oh, you could probably do these different things with it.
nice. I love those. I love those tips too. Um, Especially like, yeah, you guys, it's almost like, yeah, you're right that you kind of have to like just leap
Yep.
and take a step and just, and no, the first time you do it, it's not going to go well. Or the first time that you present, it's not going to be your best work. Nothing that you do for the first time is going to be your best work. If it is, then, why do again?
Right. Yeah.
So it's a work. And if no one shows up, that's okay because then at least you got yourself out there, you tried, and um, even if you get one person show up, you take that feedback from that one person and
Yeah.
improve.
And of course, historically, we tend to have quite a few folks. I mean, obviously, we're doing the presentations at various times throughout December. So some of them are in the morning during the week. Some of them are in the evening at like 8 o'clock at night. Some of them are on the weekend. Mostly it was around my schedule, but I was also trying to figure out, as I literally any open time I had in my schedule put on the calendar for folks to pick as a time so that we would have as many options as possible. And I wasn't really sure if all of those slots would actually get filled, and they did. And we even had to create a few extra slots based on them getting filled. So that was pretty exciting. But yeah, you just got to take that leap. And like you said, if it's until you do the presentation, you can't really get the feedback or know. And then even for yourself, every time I present, I'm like, oh, I should have talked about this, or I could have talked about that, or that didn't really make sense. And then I can do a better presentation the next time around. But if I never actually do the presentations, then no one
Yeah, exactly.
gets
Yeah.
that information. So
Yeah.
Nicole joined us. She's here. Hi, Nicole. We're just talking about the Rejected Conference. And I went through and said like all the different presentations we have with a ton of different topic areas. So super excited about that. And then Joe, you also wanted to touch base this past weekend was the Disrupt ABA conference. Did you get to go to that by any chance?
No, I didn't. Um, it was definitely a busy weekend. I on the weekends anymore, it's like our house is a fun house for the neighborhood, and all the kids come over, and I'm outside and just, you know, I'm the traffic control cop and making sure everyone slows down and, the kids are safe. But I have like a TV up outside. I got the bounce house. I just have all the fun stuff outside. So like that's my weekends now, which I love. But
Fun.
but yeah, but no, I saw your post and it was like, that is such a cool topic.
Yeah.
Um, so can you tell the viewers, listeners, what your um talk was about?
Yeah, so I talked about behavioral neuroscience and radically rethinking functions of behavior. I created a few resources. I need to figure out the best way to share them. I will likely be um, putting them in our members area that go through. I created it's like a document for when you're looking at addressing and creating a treatment plan. So addressing a challenging behavior, just creating a treatment plan in general, like that initial intake, having questions that actually ask about the neuroscience pieces because we're supposed to rule out medical, and what's going on inside our bodies and with our nervous system is a huge aspect of that, but we're not really trained on any of it. So it helps guide like those types of questions. It has things about sleep too, and just general things that could be affecting someone's behavior, and making sure that we're being really comprehensive about that. I didn't really talk about that in the presentation, but I wanted to have something for people to use, after attending the presentation. So what I'm probably going to do, I doubt I'll do it in December because of the Rejected conference, but likely in early January, I might do like a free webinar. It might just be members only, but I'll do the actual presentation and go and like share the resources that I created. But sometime in 2025, I want to do a more in-depth workshop where we can actually work through some case studies and the materials and dive in a little bit deeper on like how it would look to incorporate neuroscience. But basically, the main idea, yeah, Nicole's super excited. The main idea is that, at least in the work that I've been seeing, both for myself and in, just looking at how we're engaging with our clients, and the research that's out there right now is pretty solid, saying that people don't learn well if they're not regulated. Shocker. I think we can all reflect on that for ourselves and realize like that's true. And so the more we can focus on addressing the neuroscience side of things first, like making sure that people's nervous systems are regulated. And Hanley already is talking about this with happy, relaxed, and engaged, but he's not pulling in. And he might be aware of it. I don't know. I tried to have a conversation about it, but it was over email and we never really got anywhere on it. there are a lot of behavior analysts through their own like shaping and learning history that observationally are seeing like, oh, I can't really work with a client if they're distressed. But in terms of actually learning what research is out there around the different states that exist for our nervous system, like there's from Dr. Porges, there's 3 different states that he talks about, but like the 2 main ones that most people know about are the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And the sympathetic pathway is the one, like if you're in sympathetic dominance, you're just constantly under stress all the time and just like on high alert, fight or flight mode. And I think many of our clients are in that state. And then people are trying to teach them. And instead of trying to teach them how to get into the parasympathetic, how to activate that aspect of their nervous system, they're just trying to plow away and probably making the problem worse. Because if when you're stressed, if someone's trying to do things with you, you just get more stressed. It's not like maybe if your attention gets redirected, you might go into parasympathetic, but generally speaking, you're just going to get more and more stressed. So I went through like several, I talked about Dr. Delahook, Dr. Porges, Dr. Shanker, and Dr. Perry. Those are 4 different, I they have different backgrounds. I'm grouping them into this category of like people we should learn from to understand behavioral neuroscience, but they have different backgrounds as like psychologists, psychiatrists, neuroscientists. Like there's different places they come from. And so I just went through each of their work and how it applies to behavior analysis and what we could be doing to improve our understanding of function. So yeah. Nicole, you have thoughts you want to share? Joe had to step off for a second, and I don't want to keep talking. Do you have any thoughts?
I was just going to say, like, I think that's really, really cool. And I love the idea of learning about all that stuff and kind of integrating all those things. And um, thanks to you, I do a lot more looking outside of our field for extra support and extra knowledge and things that we need to kind of learn more about and be able to integrate so we can be better clinicians. And I think that this is just another way to do
Yeah,
that. I'm super excited to learn more about it.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. I made 2 other resources. One of them just goes through, it's like a handout that talks about each of those people and like what their theories are, and then says how it connects to behavior analysis. And then the other one is more of like a reference checklist that has the different areas that I think we need to be looking at. And then it talks about why it's important for behavior analysis. And then it talks about different people that you could look into if you wanted to understand better. So there's different areas, like checking for potential medical conditions, reviewing medications, assessing sleep quality, nutritional status, sensory processing needs, neuroceptive safety scanning, which is like a huge part of the work within behavioral neuroscience. And if you look, for folks who have learned about trauma-informed care, the idea of like cues of safety, our systems are automatically always scanning for safety. And we don't recognize that enough with our clients, that a lot of the things we call challenging behavior, it's really human survival. They're just being human and reacting to threats that they're experiencing. And then we try to get in there and do all these consequence-based interventions as if it's not to say, and this is where one of the things that I think why the disconnect exists, because you have certain people who are like, ABCs, like we have to have the function, that part is, super important. And then we have other folks like the behavioral neuroscientists who are like, no, it's all this other stuff that's going on neuroscientifically. It's survival, it's fight or flight. It's both, right? But we need to rule out the fight or flight, like the automatic stuff, the medical side first, right? We need to account for that first and make sure we're building skill sets around those things. And then if things are persisting, we can see where in the environment that's happening. I went through this lecture for a college course sequence that I'm teaching too in Romania. And one of the things we talked about is how like there could even be something obvious. Like if you have a client where you've identified there are skill deficits with emotional regulation, they don't currently show or demonstrate any sort of propensity to shift themselves on their own from sympathetic to parasympathetic. They're very unsafe in their fight or flight responses. And so, okay, yes, we need to work on that. But then also, if your data are showing that in the presence of one specific person, their behavior is even more intensified or more frequent or whatever, then that's a component you're going to have to address as well. There is something that person is doing that is either maybe distressing them more, just creating an even more unsafe environment, or is maintaining and like pushing it higher, how they're reacting to things. So you can attack both pieces. You can tackle those things. But a lot of times people are only focusing on one or the other, or they're trying to focus on the consequences, and not fully understanding that like it won't matter what you do with the consequences if you haven't yet taught this person how to be safe, how to feel safe, and how to be safe. So you can do whatever you want with those consequences over there, but they're still going to be in sympathetic dominance. And until you fix that, that's you're just going to be creating ineffective plans. So it's more of a nuanced thing, and a lot of people want it to be black and white, like it's this. We just have to do this thing, and like human behavior is way more complicated than that. It's weird because it's more complicated and more simple at the same time, because so much of what our client, to me at least, so much of what we see our clients doing can be broken down into either seeking pleasure, getting that dopamine, or avoiding stressors, avoiding getting into that sympathetic dominance, having the cortisol, all of that kind of stuff. Like human survival is pretty much based off of those two pathways. Very simple. Then it gets
not
more
just the clients,
complicated.
not just the clients, but us. Isn't that what all humans
all
are
of us,
doing,
all
basically?
humans. Yes,
All of
we're
us.
all doing
Yeah.
that all the time. Like almost every choice we make every day, like they say, behavior goes where reinforcement flows. It's like behavior goes where dopamine flows. Like that's actually what's happening here. And behavior, I don't know, strays from, I don't know, what's the thing, like what, I don't know, a rhyme that we can make. I should use ChatGPT, like to do where we avoid the stressors. We don't go where it's unsafe. We try to avoid those situations, and we will legitimately engage in unsafe behavior to make ourselves safe. If we're feeling threatened, we will protect ourselves by any means necessary.
I
So
see some new behavior merch in our future with these updated taglines.
get it, Nicole. Joe, did you have any thoughts you wanted to share based on my rambling?
No, I love it. And like it just gives me flashbacks to when I was a teacher. Is I knew as a teacher, I didn't know the terminology, but like I knew like my my student comes into the classroom and I know he wasn't ready because he's exhibiting like this type of um behaviors, or how their body movements are like I can sense it, and I can tell like, okay, this student is not ready to learn whatsoever. So I'm not going to force teaching them this stuff or making them do this worksheet, because all it's going to do is escalate and they're going to go into crisis, and then uh, it gets worse. So as a teacher, I could totally understand and get that understanding where my students were at. But like that's where like I wish like education has more classes, and now I wish they had classes on just behavior-based classes, like just basic behavior principles and a little bit more. And then on top of it, it almost seems like they also need this behavior neuroscience, like a behavior neuroscience class too, to really understand their students as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
So
Well, and I think people get a little bit like behavioral neuroscience, like that sounds so intense, but
yeah,
thankfully there's so many people now who are making it digestible and easy to understand and navigate that it's really not that overwhelming to at least understand enough to create safe environments and help give some basic tools and strategies for shifting from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic state. Like anyone of us could learn that very easily, and it's beneficial to learn it for ourselves, for our children, and for whatever, environments we're working in. I love Robin Goebel. It's a book called, or she has a podcast and a book about baffling behaviors is what she talks about. And she's taken the three different states that Dr. Porges talks about that I don't even have memorized myself. It's like ventral vagal, dorsal vagal, and one other one, but I don't have them memorized. But she talks about it as the owl, the watchdog, and the possum. So the owl is where you're in the parasympathetic state and like all is good. And then the watchdog is exactly what it sounds like. You're activated fight or flight mode. And then the possum is that shutdown mode. And she has all of these materials she's made for children to teach them about these three states and like how, they're shifting and stuff. And she talks a lot to like parents and teachers about how if you're seeing these watchdog or possum behaviors, then you have a child who's not in the owl state. And the first step is to figure out how to help them build the skills to get into the owl state and like, how to make the environment more safe and all that kind of stuff. So there are she's one example, but there are plenty of people who have taken the heavy neuroscience content and made it more layperson mainstream friendly. So we don't even have that as an excuse anymore. Now we have time, like the time to understand it and like learn the resources and all of that. But in terms of like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to study neuroscience, Megan. Sorry, they're doing construction. I don't, we had a hurricane and now it's rebuilding time somewhere. So sorry.
That's fine. I can't even hear, so I don't hear anything.
Okay. I'm going to put Robin's link in the chat for those who haven't seen her stuff. I know I keep posting it, so by now most people have probably seen her stuff, but just in case. Yeah, so that's like the main thing that I didn't finish talking about the sheet that I was going through, but basically that the like reference list that I made and the checklist to go through, I think it's like 12 or 15 different areas and talk about why they're important for behavior analysis, and there's questions and stuff like that. So I'm, like I said, hopefully going to do some stuff with it in early January to help disseminate outside of the conference presentation. I do talk about this a little bit in the reflective analyst workshop and the trauma informed mastery kit. There's a section on emotional regulation. And I talk about behavioral neuroscience, but I need to figure out how to take the content from the mastery kit and the content that I just made and sort of put that into one document. But then I have even more than that with the core assessment stuff that I'm working on. So I just need someone to come suck all of the information out of my brain and make it look nice. So if anyone knows how to do that, let me know.
I don't know how to do that yet, so
If you find out, it sounds like a
I'll let you know.
new movie idea.
Yeah, 30 years in the future, this is something that happens.
No, I need it right now. Future. Yeah, that's what Nicole said. Just dictate and pass along. Trust me, ChatGPT has definitely helped because I just word vomit all of the things that are coming. That's how like I was able to put together a lot of this stuff because it's like I have all these ideas. So I'll be driving and I'll just do like voice notes to ChatGPT and be like, organize my brain, please. And it does. And then I create content, but it's like I need to have that initial person or AI to help me organize all of the thoughts that are just flowing through my brain. Otherwise, it's just confusing. So, yeah.
And that voice feature on ChatGPT is amazing.
Yeah.
Because if I have something that I'm thinking about, like I was wanting more information on nootropics
Mm-hmm.
and like the research behind it, and it was just telling me all this stuff, and
Yep.
I was having a back and forth conversation with it while I was driving, and it was great.
Mm-hmm. And not surprisingly, I can't. Um, thanks, Nicole. Not surprisingly, I can't use that one. I have to do, they have like the feature where it'll audio record you and then it transcribes it. And I'll talk for
Mhm.
like 8 minutes. Somehow magically transcribes all of that. But if I try the one where it's the conversation like you're talking about, I'll be talking for like a minute and then it'll interrupt me and start. And I'm like, no, I'm not talking yet. Shh, stop talking. And then I get mad at ChatGPT and it's a big problem. So Nicole just put a picture of a circus and said that that's my brain. All the different activities going on at all times. Yeah. I think that's probably for the case for a lot of us. We're all high thinkers, have lots of cool ideas. And now ChatGPT can help us bring them to life or
Yeah,
whatever you use.
that's my brain definitely. Like it just there's just so many different. The only thing about that circus is it needs to be a guy fishing, and you need to add another behavior analyst in there, and then about dinner, and then weightlifting, and then clients, and like it needs to be more chaotic than that because like sometimes like my brain is just going 120 miles per hour, and it's all these thoughts all at once, and that's where I get stuck. It's like, oh, I can't do anything right now.
Yeah.
But that sounds amazing, Megan. Like like disrupt ABA sounded amazing. I'm sad that I missed that. And then your conference coming up with all your different presenters, like it sounds like an amazing opportunity. I can't think of another conference that's like what you guys are putting on that um allows someone to present as a practitioner, but also present. There's so many options and opportunities for people to gather information that they wouldn't be able to get at conferences anyways.
Yeah. I'm really excited. Nicole is one of our presenters, her two colleagues as well. So that I'm excited for, and just all the different topics and learning that we're going to do. Can't wait. Does anyone else have thoughts they want to share today before we close out? We should have our last scheduled podcast right now is December. I'm trying to pull up the calendar. I think it's not on Christmas, but it's potentially on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. So Joe and I will talk. We might decide to do a different day, depending on what we have going on, or this might be our last one for 2024, and we'll come back
Yeah.
strong in January because December is just, I mean, it's not hard in terms of there's a lot of other days, but based on the format we're doing of these Tuesdays, it just falls on weird days for us this time. Ooh, I do have a question for folks though. I know we don't, Nicole, it's just you right now from the collective, and I'll be sending this out, but I'm thinking about going back to Wednesdays for our stuff in 2025 because I've gotten a lot of feedback that for whatever reason, Tuesdays are a hard day. I don't know why. Tuesdays are harder than Wednesdays, but a lot of people have more flexibility at lunchtime on Wednesdays than Tuesdays. So I'll be sending out like a quick survey about that. Unfortunately, it does have to be during the day because Taylor's schedule and stuff, I never know when he will have baseball or whatever going on. So I can't really do evening stuff, but I do want to at least do the lunchtime stuff. Tuesday or Wednesday is preferred because sometimes there's holidays on like Mondays and Fridays or conferences and stuff like that. So, okay.
I like that.
So we might be back on Wednesdays in January. We'll see. I'll make sure to update everyone. All right. And Nicole said a lot of people schedule CEUs on Tuesday, so Wednesday may be good. All right, cool. All righty. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
participating. I hope to see some people at our conference in a couple weeks. And if we don't have an episode in December, I hope everyone has a good end of the year.
All right. And I hope everyone have a good year. If we don't meet up, and go forth and do better.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.